going to be assembling this S&Z Tophand barn door. One of the things I liked about these doors is they're not crazy expensive, and they do come in a lot of different sizes. I do have a link below where you push on that more button. There's a link down there. You can check out this door if you want. This is actually a 32-inch door. I am putting together a 54-inch door also, but just for the sake of showing you how this goes, they're all, pretty much the same. So open up the package. It's packed pretty tight, so I'm going to open this thing up and see if all the pieces are here first. There's a parts list that comes with it, so you can kind of check things off, make sure they're all there as far as the hardware, styles, rails, and all the slat boards there, tongue and groove. And like I said, all the hardware is there as well. So first thing I'm going to do is kind of segregate everything, slats and my top, middle, bottom rail, and these angle boards that go on the face of the door last. I'm going to go through and inspect these things, and there's a couple of starter boards I want to pull off to keep those separate too. This one here has a booger on the tongue, which I could probably pull that off. It's small enough, but I think I'm just going to take a little bit of glue and kind of doctor that up. It's not too bad. So a little Band-Aid on that thing, wipe off the excess glue, put a clamp on it, set it aside while we get started on the rest of getting started on putting the door together, I guess. This first style, the holes that are pre-drilled for the hardware, that would be the top. Obviously the other end's the bottom. So your top rail is going to have a flat side and a groove side. Obviously groove side down, but that one is the top. Middle one has the wide groove on both sides on that rail, and then the bottom rail has two grooves, a wide groove and a skinny groove. Skinny groove goes down. That's for the little guide that goes on the floor to guide the door. So you're just pushing those in tight. You can tap it with a hammer if you need to, but go gentle. Here we go with the slats, the tongue and groove slats. You're going to start one with the tongue up and the other one with the groove up, which is why you have these little starter boards. Have a groove and a square end. And this one has a tongue and a square end. Those are going to be your starter pieces for the top and bottom. Like I said, if you do have to tap it, maybe a rubber hammer. You don't have to beat the crap out of these things because, you don't want to break them. So just kind of get it roughly where it goes. First piece on the top is a tongue. And the square side, you can see down in that groove on that starter piece, there's a little piece of felt for a spacer. That's for expansion, contraction. The bottom of the door, start with the groove side up, square side down. And just make sure they're seated in there good. You don't have, like I said, you don't have to kill it. Most of this stuff is just pushing together. So the rest of the pieces, groove goes on the tongue, push them tight on the top. And when you get to the last, just make sure they're going together nice. You might have a warped one or something, but the last piece will have a groove and a square end. That goes on, that's the last piece on the top. Just tap them in there with your hand pretty much. And then on the bottom, after you get all those pieces in, obviously the bottom, you're going to be going tongue first. That's kind of just to keep the door, if it is going to move on you a little bit, it won't be so bad by alternating that way. So when you get to the last piece on the bottom of the door, it's going to have the tongue and a square end, and it's the last piece in the box. That's the one I fixed. So that one goes in. Like I said, just kind of tap them together. If you need to tap it with a rubber hammer, go ahead. That little felt spacer piece I ended up putting on the board itself because it wanted to fall out. You could lay this flat on the floor and do this too if you wanted to, but keeping the top with the pre-drilled holes on the top, you might need a little hammer to kind of get that last little bit in there. I went a little extra. They don't tell you to do this, but I put some clamps on it to suck it tight before I screw it together and make sure it's square. This one was off maybe a 1/16, even I'm not going to worry about that. So Next would be the screws that go into the rails through the stile there. They give you the screws for that, and they're all pre-drilled. So get all those in. Go around the room. There should be 10 of them, one on each side in the middle and 2 on each side on the top and bottom. So after that, I'm jumping to these slats. They are kind of thin. It comes with mounting screws. That piece is pretty thin. This pine is really dry. They countersink the holes, but they never drilled a pilot hole. There's no pilot hole there. So this stuff's so thin, especially on the ends. I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill a hole through that countersink that they did at the factory. That's just going to help keep it from splitting. Because I do want these screws to be flush or maybe a fuzz below the surface there. I think they're exposed more for looks than anything else. So those trim boards can only go pretty much one way. So did the one side and flipped it, did the other side, and then I went back. I kind of jumped ahead of myself there. They have some wood plugs for the screw holes. None of this stuff calls for glue. You can put glue on those if you want. I don't think they're going to pop out. And then the hardware, we're going to do on the next video. So if you want to see the hardware and the hanging, I'm going to do that on the next video if you want to tune into that. But pretty good project. Didn't take that long. So I hope that helps.